Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers with Green Acres Pest Control, coming live tonight. Start a new show tonight. We're going to call it the Bedbug Show. It's going to be a live stream on Friday nights, and basically we're just going to talk about bed bugs. Any questions that you have, anything you might want to ask, I uh, I have absolutely no problem answering any questions that you have. Um, the main reason that I decided to do this show was because I get calls almost on a daily basis from people all across the world that ask me questions about bed bugs. And so, like I said, this is a trial run. See how it goes. It's Friday night. It's a night that I can actually do my live streams. It's about the only night a week that I have open for live streams. So if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. I got my live chat up. This is live. So anything that you have that you want to know, I'm here. So I guess we'll start out talking about heat treatments because I know a lot of people, that's a touchy subject. A lot of people have, it's definitely something that I get a lot of flack from other exterminators over. Um, Mainly the reason that I'm so against heat treatments is because I've been behind a lot of exterminators who, whether they do or don't know how to do the job right, or maybe the house is just too old for a heat treatment. A lot of times people, other exterminators are trying to do them on apartment buildings and they end up chasing bed bugs from one unit to another. And the Department of Agriculture actually put out a really good article on bed bug treatments in the United States. And they explained that the problem is that people are treating it uh, as a total um, as a single unit problem rather than a total building problem. The problem with bed bugs is when you go in, whether you're going to do a chemical application or a heat treatment, the whole building has to be treated. And a lot of landlords and property management, they don't want to pay that kind of money to get the whole job done right. And so they treat it as a per unit issue. So it causes the bed bugs to spread. You chase them from one unit to the other to another to another, and it ends up just being this vicious cycle around and around and around in order to take care of the problem. And you never actually take care of the problem. You just stir the pot around and cause it to get worse. And just so you know, you guys could let me know if I'm sounding all right, if my sound's coming through all right. I don't really have anybody listening to me tonight, proofreading anything. I don't think. I'm not sure. Uh, haven't had any of my moderators actually say anything yet. But yeah. So anyway, the main problem with a bed bug uh, treatment is, like I said, it's expensive. Whether you go in and if you do a chemical application, then you're having to lift beds, you're having to lift box springs. It's a lot of really heavy lifting, couches, lazy boy chairs. You're basically rearranging the entire apartment or house or whatever whenever you go in to do a bed bug job. Anywhere someone is sitting sedentary for more than, 1, 2 hours is a likely potential place for bed bugs to be. And so you need to treat all of those areas. And it's really just turn the house upside down kind of a treatment. And it's expensive. It's a lot of labor, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of money. That's what you're really paying for. It doesn't matter really the price of the chemical. What really matters is the amount of labor that you've got in a job like that. It is a lot of hard work. I did make the mistake one time of actually scheduling 3 bedbug jobs in one day, and 2 of them were 4 bedroom homes, and one had a king size bed in the main master bedroom, and the other had 2 king size beds in the house. And so it was a lot of work, and I was exhausted by the time I got home that day. Um, and so it's a lot of really heavy lifting. I kind of understand why a lot of businesses are moving towards heat treatments, freeze treatments, which if you've watched my channel lately, I did do a video on those not too long ago because of workman's comp. You got a guy that goes out and hurts his back. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, you know, and then they get off for however long it takes to heal, or how till they say it feels better, and so they can take the company for who knows how much money. So a lot of the companies are moving more towards heat treatments because there is, I mean, there is labor involved. Don't get me wrong. I understand that there is labor involved. I've watched videos. I've done my research. I know that it is labor intensive to do, whether it's heat treatment or you know liquid application. It's a lot of labor either way, but you're a lot more likely to hurt yourself if you're lifting a king size bed rather than a little propane heater in and out of the house with those hoses and stuff they hook up to them. So um, what I'm saying is it's a lot more likely that the company is going to get hurt from doing a chemical application than a heat treatment. That being said, you still need to do the job right for the customer. Um, a lot of people comment on my videos and they're like, oh, well, we've got 85%, 90% success with heat treatments. And that's great, if you're able to do that. But the problem that I'm having is what about that 10? What about that 5% that isn't happy, that you don't take care of their problem? And then or the people that don't call. You know, I'm passive aggressive. So if I have a problem with a company, they've come out, they've charged me $3,500 to do a bed bug treatment, and the heat treatment doesn't work. I might call and complain, but I'm more likely to uh, talk bad about the company to friends, family. So and so is out to my house. They charged me $3,500 for this bed bug treatment, and I'm still getting bitten by bed bugs. And so I'm doing more damage to the company than than actually coming in and telling the company, hey, come back out to my house and fix the problem. And a lot of companies here locally, now I'm not talking about all across the United States, I'm just talking about here in central and southern Virginia. A lot of the companies here do not warranty their work, and then you're having to pay for them to come out for a second treatment after they've charged you, like I said, $3,000-$4,000 to get rid of a problem that didn't actually vanish at all. It's actually aggravated the problem and made it worse. And so the reason that I do chemical treatment is because you notice an impact right away. I know if you've watched my channel and you've seen a lot of my videos, I talk a lot about Crossfire. It's a chemical made by MGK, located in Minneapolis. It's amazing chemical. It's a really good chemical. In fact, let me pull up. Let's see here. If I fix my mic, it's kind of hitting my face. There we go. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let's see if I can. There we go. Now that's on Amazon. That's Crossfire. I am not going to try to pronounce those. I know propionyl butoxide, I can pronounce that one. But, and you can find propionyl butoxide in other pesticides too, like Raid. But this is one of the chemicals that I use. This is a really, really effective pesticide for bed bugs. The problem with Crossfire, and the reason I think a lot of people aren't using Crossfire, is one, it's very expensive. It is actually the most expensive pesticide that I use for any bugs per ounce. It takes 13 ounces to a gallon. All right, so here you go. Net contents is 130 fluid ounces. That's 10 gallons. That's going to make 10 gallons of chemical, and it is only for bed bugs. So it's not like you can go in and like you mix a B&G, which is a gallon sprayer. You mix a B&G, and you go in and you do a bed bug job. That B&G has Crossfire in it. You're going to have a jug to transfer that into if you want to mix anything else in that B&G, and you may not have that ability. And so you can't use it for roaches. You can't use it for fleas. You can't use it for spiders. Um, that's a problem for a lot of exterminators because it's a big deal if you're having to constantly change and swap your chemicals all day long. Um, that's a lot of time lost, and it's a lot of hassle, a lot of trouble. The time that you're at the most risk of a a chemical exposure is when you're mixing concentrates or when you're transferring chemical back and forth between your tanks and your jugs. And so, as far as risk, it is higher risk by using Crossfire. It is really expensive. You can't use it for anything but bed bugs. You may not be doing bed bug jobs. I don't do a lot of bed bug jobs. I might do maybe one or two a month. That's it. I'm just one guy. I'm not that my biggest as far as my income, the most income I get is from just general pest control. Spiders, ants, crickets, silverfish, cockroaches, mice. This time of year it's cold, mice come in. So that's what I'm getting the most of my income off of. I actually have a dedicated tank for Crossfire. So if I get a call, I can go do a bedbug job. A lot of guys don't have that. And so that's a reason a lot of pest control companies, I believe, now you correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone out there is watching this tonight, let me know if why you're not using Crossfire or why you are using Crossfire. The reason I'm using Crossfire is it's worth it. It's an amazing chemical, it does a really good job. It's expensive, but it does a really good job. It just is amazing. I can't sing praises more. It's just really good. And they're not paying me to say this either. I'm not a spokesperson for MGK. I just, I've had people tell me it's good. I've tried it. It's worked. It's great. It's great. Like I said, I really like it. Um, so anyway, and I've had people that tell me that they've used the aerosol. I've never used the aerosol. I've just used the concentrate, mixed it myself and done the job. The one thing I like about the label is it's very broad and it allows you to treat mattresses, box springs, headboards, footboards, bed rails, anywhere that bed bugs are. And as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody out there knows anything better, that it's the only thing that I know of that actually allows you to broadcast spray the entire mattress. And if you've ever been in a really bad, heavily infested bedbug job, a lot of pesticides won't let you even treat the mattress at all, and bedbugs will live on the mattress. And in cases like that, you have to tell people they either have to have encasements or they have to throw away their mattress. And mattresses aren't cheap, they're very expensive. So that's one reason that I like Crossfire, because you could use it everywhere. Um, so anyway, let's see if I can just turn that off. So enough about Crossfire. There are other pesticides out there that are labeled for bed bugs that you can use. Alpine. There's a lot of pesticides that actually have bed bugs on the label, but they won't allow you um, to actually use them on the mattress or even the box spring. And sometimes if they say that you can use it on a box spring, it's really for inside the box spring or just the seams of the box spring, not the actual total coverage of the box spring, which, like I said, is another reason I like to use Crossfire, because it's such a broad label. And as long as as long as the label allows for it to be used the way it's used, it's just amazing stuff. It really works really well. So, anyway, let's see. Y'all let me know if I don't sound, bad, if my sound's coming through all right. I want to make sure everybody can hear me tonight. This is the first time I've been doing live shows here try to do one every week. I missed last week. I haven't done any shows this week at all, really. I haven't had any uploads at all this week. With all the holidays and preparing for New Year's and everything, I just have not had the time to get on and do any kind of streaming or shows at all. So this is actually the first time I've filmed probably in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So, like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Leave me a question in the comments below, or if you're watching this after the live stream, don't hesitate to comment below, and subscribe if you want to check out my live streams when I do them, because these are saved later. So if you want to go back and watch them, you're welcome to do so. So if you can't stay during the whole stream, don't hesitate to come back, and watch it later if you want to spend the time. So anyway, one of the biggest issues with treating a apartment building as a single unit issue, it's like I was saying, you'll end up chasing bed bugs from one unit to another. I did a unit now this is an apartment building, and this is a single unit apartment building. Now, not single unit, I'm sorry, it's a multi-unit. It's 12 units in one building. The biggest problem is the guy lives in the upstairs. There are 4 upstairs. There are 4 on the second floor. There are 4 on the first floor. So that's 12 units total in the building. That's a lot of units. Now he's at the very top floor. He's got somebody underneath him, and he's got 2 people on either side of him. I started treating his apartment for bed bugs, and he had a bad, bad problem with bed bugs. I went to go grab the mattress, and when I grabbed the mattress, I actually came back with a handful of bed bugs crawling all over my hand because they were just all over the side of the mattress when I went to flip the mattress up. And I kind of did a double take and jumped up and freaked out, and he freaked out because he wondered why I freaked out, and so it was, domino effect. And so anyway, I eliminated his problem, and it went on for I do a 90-day treatment plan, so I treat 1 month, and then I treat the second month, and then I treat the third month, and I do it every 30 days apart. Now that's another thing about Crossfire, is it's a 30-day residual. If you compare that to something like Temprid, where you're having to come every 2 weeks and treat, which is imidacloprid is what the active ingredient is in Temprid. It's a good chemical. Don't get me wrong. It works really good on ants and different things. But when it comes to bed bugs, you're having to treat every 2 weeks. That's really frequent. And, yeah, the customer can pay for that, but I use Crossfire, and it's half the treatments, and it does a total job in just 1 month. So you can treat, it's got a 30-day residual, so you can put them on a monthly service plan and come back every month and treat it. And that works really well for me, because I don't have, because I go statewide. I don't have, every other week to be driving all over the state of Virginia to kill bed bugs, when I can go 1 month and then go a following month 30 days later and treat again. So that really allows me to better manage my route days and do the jobs at a more, affordable rate. So I did the 3 treatments, and he stopped having bed bugs. 2 weeks after he had his last bed bug treatment, he called and he said, "I've got a problem. I don't have any more bed bugs on the bed. They are now coming in from the bathroom." Now, his bathroom butts right up against another apartment's bedroom, and they're coming through the wall. So, and he actually talked to the neighbor and then confirmed that they did have bed bugs, but they were freaking out because they didn't want property management to know, because they were afraid they were going to get evicted. That's the problem with treating it as a multi-unit problem. And I'll take a break from that and just talk to Mark. Hey, Mark, how are you? Uh, oh, wow. Well, I won't. I mean, your comment's kind of blocked by my chat up there. I don't know if you want everybody seeing that, but that's rough. Well, it's good that it wasn't bed bugs. So bed bugs are, you know, they're awful. They're not bad to get rid of though. A lot of people, one of the biggest things I've noticed a lot of people say when they're after they've talked to me, and they're surprised when I tell them that bed bugs actually are not hard to get rid of at all if you use the right pesticide and you use the right treatment method. It's actually not hard to get rid of bed bugs. It's very easy to get rid of bed bugs. I know a lot of exterminators like to make out like it's really difficult. I have never had a problem eliminating bed bugs in 30 years. 29 years. I've never had a problem getting rid of bed bugs, ever. Bed bugs have really only become a problem in about the last 15 years. The first bed bug job I did was probably about 15 years ago. And it was actually for a guy. He owned a rent-a-center type store where people would go in and they would rent to own furniture. And he had what happened was the woman called and she said, "Look, you've infested my apartment with bed bugs. I got a bed from you. I brought it in my apartment and it's infested with bed bugs." All right. Now he knew he hadn't infested her apartment, but the fact is that he couldn't prove it. Um, oh, question. What is the best bait you have used to catch a roof rat and a Norway rat? Catch? Well, I don't catch them. I kill them. I don't actually catch. I don't do a trapping for rats. I don't do trapping for rats. I don't do trapping for mice. I always bait for mice and rats. The biggest issue with rats is they can be bait shy, and so or not necessarily bait shy. A lot of people think it's bait shy, but usually it comes into the problem with there's other food sources, and that's the hardest thing with rats. If they're used to eating a specific food source, it's very hard to get them to eat bait because they're very cautious. Mice are different. Mice will eat anything. If they come across a piece of bait, they're like, "Oh boy, I want to eat that. That's great. That looks great." Rats are like, "I don't know. That smells like a person. That's not something I'm used to. I don't want to eat that." So what I have found in instances where I have problems getting rid of rats with bait is it's a food source issue. If you can eliminate, and a lot of times it's pet food. I don't do a lot of heavy commercial buildings, like big, huge warehouses and stuff like that. I mean, I have done warehouses for rats, and I just, it's bait station where you put your bait stations and stuff like that. And usually, if it's a warehouse, it's not because they're getting into, the actual things in the warehouse. They're trying to find a place to live. And so that's usually not very hard to get rid of rats in a situation like that. But when I have one guy I'm thinking about was a pet kennel. He one of my customers, he was for lack of a better choice of words, he had it wasn't a puppy mill, but he just had a lot of dogs. He really liked dogs. He had a ton of dogs, and the rats were a serious problem. They were getting into all of his dog food, and so what he did was, the bait was the dog food was actually fortified in vitamin K. The rats were eating the bait. They were eating the dog food, and the dog food had vitamin K because I use anticoagulants. So vitamin K is the antidote for that. And so they weren't dying from the bait. Once we removed the dog food from the situation, the rats died. I've had other instances where the rats would not eat the rat bait. They were perfectly happy eating the dog food or cat food. Cat food's bad too. And once the customer picked up the dog food or the cat food at night, the rats stopped. They all died. They didn't have any more rat problems. So that's usually the biggest problem. And that could work with really any bait. I like to use Talon Block. Here, let me show you. This is a good one right here. Let's see. It's pretty expensive, but this is just, well, it's not one to load for me. Anyway, I've got a video. I'll tell you what, I'll post it in the chat. If I could get my mice to work. Well, hey, it's good stuff. It really is. It's a really good pesticide. Sorry if my mic is really, man, my mic is really messing up tonight. There we go. Hopefully it'll stick that way for a little while. Let's see. Trying to bring up, I was gonna leave a link. There we go. Let's do this one. And we'll post that right here. That's a video. It's actually my playlist for Mouse Mondays. You can go in there and you can watch, I think it's the second video that I actually go through specific mouse poison that I use. So, and I kind of caught that, but I missed it. So message retracted. But that's what that is that video there. That's the first in a series. I just went and found a link to it. But that's the first in a series of mouse videos that I do that I just did in the month of November. It was Mouse Mondays. Now I'm going through a cockroach series on Mondays. So, but if you're really interested in you know, rat control, mouse control, that's a really good series. And I actually show the exact bait that I use for rats and mice, and it's very effective. I've never had a problem with mice and rats taking it. Like I said, unless the normal thing with rats when they are, just not interested, they have another food source they can get a hold of. So, you've got to take that into account when you're dealing with mice, is that, or rats, is that if there is another food source, they may not be interested in the bait. So if you can eliminate that food source, it does help a lot. It really does. Um, so if I answered your question, I hope I did. I did it the best I could. uh, oh yeah, peanut butter's great. Yeah, peanut butter. Now, when you're using snap traps and you're working, in a school, see, I still think that if a lot of times with schools they have drop ceilings where you can put bait stations and drop ceilings, crawl spaces. Sometimes it just depends on the way the school is constructed. Basements, you can put bait stations in boiler rooms. A lot of schools, older schools, I know I went to a school with a boiler. That's how it heated the whole school. You can find places that kids aren't going to be able to, get access to the bait stations. You can use bait stations. Um, I always go for bait stations. If a kid finds a snap trap, they're going to get hurt, especially a rat trap. I find that using rat traps in lieu of bait because of children, it's better to use bait station. Because even if child can come in contact with a bait station, it's less likely they're going to get hurt from that than if they take and put their hand on a rat trap and break your finger. Because a rat trap will absolutely break your finger. So I just think they're not very safe. But they do work. You can catch rats in traps. The thing about traps is rats will become trap shy, especially if they see a dead rat on a trap, and this goes for mice as well. Um, and so you have to really stay on it, every day, every other day. You have to check your baits, you have to check your rat traps to make sure that you pick up any dead rats. In a really severe problem, you also want to put your rat traps like side by side, because what a lot of times will happen is a rat will run by and jump over the trap because he'll see it there and he'll jump over it, and that will cause him to jump over and then land in the next trap. So that if you're wanting to trap rats, that helps trapping them. But like I said, the problem is that they'll learn danger. That's something that kills rats. I found a dead rat. They pee on the trap. And like I said, I go over that in my very first episode of that Mouse Monday, which is the one I linked there in the chat, is that they will actually pee on the trap when they get scared of it. And that will ward other rats and mice away from the trap as well. And so they'll teach one another, hey, look, this is dangerous. Don't walk in this. It's killed other rats before. And so you have to constantly use new traps. It doesn't matter if it's plastic or especially wood. Wood soaks up every odor in the world. Wooden traps, plastic traps, it doesn't matter. They will all soak into that odor, and you really have to just throw away the trap and start over. So that's why I'd rather just use bait stations, because I mean, sometimes rats and mice will actually live in a bait station, if you're, not checking them regular. I've actually been behind exterminators before that weren't keeping a active watch on their bait stations and actually had rats and mice living in them. So you want to make sure that you don't forget. What I do is I have like a map where I was, to give you an idea, I was doing a storage unit system, and it was like, oh man, it was like 300 units. It's a huge place, and they had uh, I had bait stations at every unit, and I had a little map that I had drawn so I could keep track of all the bait stations that I was using. I actually had 12 bait stations I was using in this whole complex. And so, which of course they were bolted to the concrete blocks and everything, so they wouldn't get moved around or anything like that. Outdoor bait stations, and I had to check every single one. And even just 2 weeks to 4 weeks apart, I was still finding that the rats would eat, or mice. Actually, this was a mouse problem, but I was using rat bait stations just in case rats came around. And I actually found a mouse. I opened a bait station and there was a mouse living inside the bait station. He had eaten the poison. He was like halfway dead, but he was living in the bait station itself. So, but yeah, when it comes to rat and mouse traps, you really want to be real careful where you apply them, where you put them. It's just, I just find that there's too much risk. I mean, even the janitor, the janitor is going by and he's sweeping around and he's cleaning under the stoves and stuff like that in the cafeteria. That's a problem where you're going to get rats and mice. And you're going around and the guy's mopping the floor and he hits a rat trap, or he sweeps up underneath the oven or somewhere like that, and he finds a rat trap and snaps a rat trap, or he hits it himself with his own hand. You know, is it better to capture and release mice and rats? I think I remember hearing a guy say, "Don't kill mice or rats, just capture them and release them far from your house." The thing about catch and release in Virginia, it's actually against the law to catch and release. If you do it, you have to be within their home range, depending on which creature you actually catch. And so if you're within the home range, the rat or the mouse is just going to come back in your house. And so as an exterminator, now as a person, do whatever you need to do. But I would kill it. It doesn't hurt to kill it. Uh, it's not gonna attract more by killing the mouse or the rat. It's gonna, keep them from reproducing. They can have anywhere from, I think it's like 4 to 10 litters a year. Every time they wean the babies off of breast milk, they immediately go back into heat again and they're ready to reproduce again. So mice and rats can just reproduce like crazy. So I'd say kill them all. I'm all for killing, disease-ridden rodents. I don't want them in my house. I don't want them around my children. I don't want them around my parents. I don't want them anywhere around me. I hate them. So they killed millions of people during the Middle Ages with the Black Plague in England, and uh, the rats. Of course, that was carried by fleas. The bubonic plague is carried by the flea that bites the rat. I mean, the rat carries it. The flea bites the rat, and then the flea bites you, and then it spreads it to you. So they're not something you want. Yeah, just kill them. I'm all for killing them. I actually had a customer one time who her husband was he was a devout Hindu, and a lot of Hindus don't believe in killing rodents, and they don't believe in killing anything, not even a cockroach. They wouldn't kill anything. And he had left to go back home to India, and he had to visit family for a religious holiday. And she called me and she's like, "Hey, I need you to come out here right away. My husband's coming back in a week and I need to make sure we get rid of these mice before he comes back because I mean they had so many mice. I mean it was the house was infested. It really needed probably 3 or 4 months of constant, monitoring all the time in order to get rid of them and do the job right. But I went out there and I did the best I could. And she's like, paid me cash. She's like, I can't let a paper trail. I don't want him to know. And so, there are some people that don't believe in killing rats or mice, but I believe in killing them. I've I've been killing them my whole life. It doesn't hurt my feelings any bit, to kill a mouse or a rat. Now, I am more, I feel like I'm humane, that's up for argument when it comes to mice. I don't like glue boards. I don't really like snap traps, but glue boards especially because I have gone in and found where they've chewed their feet off. You'll find a glue board and, a mouse has chewed their feet off and you'll see their feet or little baby mice where the mouse has started to give birth because it shocks her into giving birth and while she's stuck on the glue board and little babies are crawling everywhere. And so I'm not one for using glue traps. I know a lot of people do. And not only that, but glue traps, depending on the time of year, if a mouse is shedding their fur, they'll just walk right across it and it'll just pull their fur off. And if anything, you're just helping them, shed. So I'm not one for using glue boards. That's one thing that I will not use. I've never used for mice. Now I will use glue boards from time to time to monitor like cockroaches or fleas or something like that. I may set them up if I'm curious if like cockroaches are living in a microwave or in an oven or something like that. I might set up a glue board there to monitor. But when it comes to mice and rats, I never ever use glue boards. It's just yeah, it's no fun. It's not fun for the customer either. They don't want to be messing with that's one thing you got to take into account when it comes to trapping mice and rats. your customers. All right. It's your job to deal with the rodents. And so if, a mouse gets snapped on a trap and you're not due to go back for, another 3 or 4 days, that rat's going to be on that trap for 3 or 4 days and it's dead there. It's a dead carcass. They're going to mess with the trap. They're going to take the rat. They're going to throw it away. Do you really want your customer doing your job? That's something you have to take into account. You really don't want your customer doing your job. That's what they pay you to do. And so that's another reason too I don't like to use traps. Now I have used traps where the customer wanted me to use traps, and I explained to them, it's probably better to bait. Personally, if they eat the bait and they go somewhere, they go to sleep, they die, you know, I've told my wife, I said, that's the way I want to go, in my sleep. I'm a wuss. So personally, try to keep my vocal cords a little wet tonight. I'm not used to talking. I haven't done a video in a couple weeks. So, but if there's any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. So, let's see. We were talking about bed bugs. The show's really, it's a bed bug show, but it's basically anything that you want to ask me. I have a lot of people that contact me about bed bugs, and so I'm here to answer any questions you have about bed bugs. Um, I try to help people where I can because I get calls almost every day on bed bug treatments and what you could do for bed bugs, what I do for bed bugs, how people can combat bed bugs in their house. Maybe they can't afford an exterminator, they call me, and I have no problem talking to people on the phone. But I've started this weekly. It's going to be a weekly show about bed bugs. So, how soon will a rat die after coming into contact with contact bugs? I'm not sure. I don't think I use that. Let me see. Oh, I hate those. Oh, I really hate those. I don't like those at all. I go behind a lot of exterminators that use that stuff, and they are not very effective. Um, I hate that stuff. Like I said, I've been behind too many people where it doesn't work. I mean, it might work. What if the mouse or rat die in the wall? Wouldn't it make your house smell bad? Well, with what I use, I don't really get that problem. Now with rats, sometimes maybe a day or two, but the poison that I use, if I could find a decent picture, um, see if I can find a good picture. There we go. There. That's Brodifacoium. I'm gonna say that the best I can. I probably butchered that awful. Um, Now, this is a really good rodenticide in this bait. Um, I use it because it has a drying effect. So when the mouse or the rat dies, it takes them a period of about 7 to 10 days to die after they eat the poison. It dries up their body so there's no fluid left. So when they do die, they don't leave any odor behind. If a mouse or a rat dies in the wall, you don't smell it. In fact, of all of the mouse and rat jobs I've done, probably in my mind, my memory serves me, I've only had like two where they actually really complained about it. There was one lady. Now, when I went in her attic, I counted 50 mice the first time I went, and I stopped counting. I mean, there were 50 individual mice. They were running back and forth across the rafters like crazy. They didn't care if I was there. They acted like I wasn't there. They didn't even care. It took me about 6 months to get rid of her mouse problem. To where, and it smelled like death every time I went to that house. Every month, it smelled like death in that house because I was killing such a large number of mice, and I had so many bait stations. I mean, I had bait stations everywhere. I mean, in the attic, I had them in the attic, I had them in the crawl space, I had them all over, and I was estimating I was probably about 30 or 40 mice a month I was killing in her house. and it always smelled bad. And it took like 3 months before the smell went away. Um, and then it was more or less a control issue and just trying to keep them from getting back in the house again. So it was a church that had been converted to a house. So it was a really, really old building in the first place. It had just had vinyl siding put around the outside. It looked like a brand new house, but it was a really old house. So that was a really rare thing to have happen. Most of the time with mice, it's like, you might get one or two in the house, and when you bait with this, you just don't get odor. So that's why I use this. And now with that contract block, like like Daniel had mentioned, um, that does have a really bad odor. The mice and the rats die, and they do leave an odor behind. I've had a lot of people who actually have it kill them. They complain a lot about the odor. They'll say, well, so and so came in, they used this bait, this is what it looks like, because they'll have it, and they'll say, this is what it looked like, and it just was the worst smell. It just smelled awful for like 3 weeks because that's just the way that stuff kills mice and rats. The reason I use this Talon is because it's just really, really, really effective in in eliminating the mice and the rats without odor. So if you're doing pest control for somebody, they don't want to smell a dead animal. I don't want to smell a dead animal, because if they smell a dead animal, now I had one, the only other one that I can remember, it was a warehouse, and they had separated part of the warehouse, and there were girls. It was an office, and they had a drop ceiling in the office, and the brilliance of central air, they decided to use the entire ceiling as the return air. So, and that's where the rats, actually it was mice. The mice were getting into the ceiling, and they were running back and forth in the ceiling, and they were dying in the ceiling from the mouse bait. And because the ceiling was being used as the return air, every time the air conditioner would cut on, it would suck that air through the whole building, and it smelled like dead mice in every single office. That was pretty bad. I actually had to go out there and do retrievals, and I spent a lot of time inside that ceiling pulling out dead mice, and that's not fun. So, you want to try to use a bait that leaves as little odor as possible. So you're not, I don't personally, I don't like to do retrievals, but if I need to, I do it. Um, Tempo SC Ultra. I'm not sure. Since I started using Crossfire, I've been using a lot of Crossfire. Let me see what's in it. Oh, yeah. Is that a imidacloprid? I think that's a imidacloprid. No, it's not. Yes, that will kill bed bugs. That actually, I believe, has a similar ingredient to Crossfire. Let me see here. I should have left that open. I was right on that page. Let's see here. No, it doesn't. It looks similar, but it's not. Yeah, that probably will kill bed bugs, more than likely. Is that a neonicotinoid? It probably will. But the problem with Tempo is I believe that's one of those where it says you have to use it every 2 weeks, and that's why I don't use it. Um, I've read so many labels because of the bed bug issues. What happened was I was using bifenthrin, which is Talon, and not Talon. Is it Talon? It's bifenthrin anyway. The active ingredient is bifenthrin. And Zenprox. Now, Zenprox is pibronyl butoxide and one other ingredient. And the problem with using those two pesticides is you have to have two separate tanks, and you have to treat, you're allowed to treat certain areas, and certain areas you can't treat, but I haven't used it in over a year, so I can't actually remember. But I know one would allow you to treat the seams, and one would allow you to treat like the inside of the box spring, and it would work as long as the bed bugs were living in the box spring, but if they were living on the mattress, it wasn't very effective. One of the biggest issues I'm having with other neonicotinoids and killing bed bugs is that they're not lasting long enough. Like I said, imidacloprid it's like 2 weeks you're having to reapply. I believe Tempo is 2 weeks as well, and you have to reapply. Crossfire actually says on the label, if I remember correctly, it says you can treat in 2 weeks, but it actually has a 30-day residual. And that's why I use Crossfire, because it has a 30-day residual and it will last for a full 4 weeks. And so then I can come back in another month and retreat, and I'm getting that that longevity out of my pesticide. I feel like the customer's getting the most for their money, and I'm not having to go every 2 weeks. I mean, I wouldn't mind I mean, if I have to, that's what I do. But hopefully I won't have to do that. And so I can save my customer. I mean, it's like half the amount of money. If you're going twice a month, you're going to have to charge the customer more because the trip is more expensive. And so I can charge them less and do it 3 times. Avoiding this is the thing, a lot of people diss me pretty bad because I talk bad about heat treatments. They're like, oh man, you're just mad because you can't afford the machinery and you don't want to, well, yeah, I can, but the problem is I don't want to risk upsetting my customer. There's going to be that one that it's not going to work. And that one can ruin my business. So I just don't want to risk it. And I'm having really good results with Crossfire. So why would I risk it? Why would I change? Why would you don't fix what isn't broken? And that's why I'm using, like I said, that's why I was using Crossfire. Now, back in the day, you could use Dursban and all kinds of things, and you never had bed bugs ever. But, we're not in those days anymore. Dursban's been outlawed for a long time. And, you can't get those kinds of chemicals anymore. So you have to go to something that personally I think is more safe anyway with a neonicotinoid, because they're basically non-toxic to mammals. They're just really great pesticides. Um, so I mean they're not completely non-toxic. Don't get me wrong, but they're the safest pesticide that I've ever experienced ever in 30 years almost. 29 years. So, but yeah, to answer your question, Tempo probably will kill bed bugs, but you're gonna have to treat more often. Um, like I said, the price tag of Crossfire, I honestly think is what gets people the most. When people ask me what I use, I tell them. I mean, I have to anyway. You have to put it on your paperwork, so your customer knows what you've used. I might as well, yeah, this is what I use to kill bed bugs. So the biggest thing that I get from people is like, wow, that's a lot of money. Like I said, I'm looking at Crossfire right now on Amazon. It's $325 for a gallon. Now, like I said, a gallon mixes 10 gallons. That's how much you're going to get out of that. There's no reason for a consumer to buy a gallon of Crossfire that mixes 10 gallons of finished product when you can do a 4-bedroom house with less than a gallon. So you could buy like 2 of the 13-ounce bottles for like, less than $100 and have enough Crossfire to do your house three treatments, which is all I recommend. That's all it usually takes me. And that's with dogs. Now, I don't have a bedbug dog myself, but I have had people that have had dogs come in after me and couldn't find a single bedbug. So where the dog is telling, they're not triggering on anything at all. Which actually, I'm planning on getting a dog maybe next year. So maybe I'll have my dog on my channel. But yeah, I'm planning on getting a spaniel breed sometime next year to do bed bugs. And I actually, speaking of bed bugs, I reached 1,000 subscribers, and I had mentioned to my channel a couple weeks ago that once I get to 1,000 subs, that I would allow for bed bugs to feed on me, like right here. Just put it right up there and let them bite me, and explain to you how they reproduce and how they feed, and go into some you know I don't have any bed bugs yet. I can't I haven't ordered any. I honestly didn't think I'd get 1,000 subs by New Year's, and so I'm gonna order some, and I'm gonna do a live stream, and I'm gonna show you how they bite. And as far as I know, they don't carry any pathogens. There's never been really any substantial, where they found that they do. So I'm gonna let them bite me and show you and explain to you how they work. That's I've never been bitten by a bed bug, so I might as well. Then I can tell customers how bad it is or how good it is or whatever, if they even bother me. I don't even know. So y'all can expect to see that. Like I said, if you want, I'm sure you could subscribe to me and and check it out. Watch me get bitten by bed bugs. But yeah, I'm gonna order some bed bugs in the mail and have them come. But I have to have them because in order to keep your dog, trained on the scent of bed bugs when you're going to clear a hotel or an apartment or something like that. You have to have bed bugs because that's how you train a dog to continue to remember the scent of a bed bug. So I'm gonna have to have them anyway, and the only way you can feed bed bugs, well, is with blood. So yeah, look forward to that one. I don't look forward to it, but I'm gonna do it. So anyway, well, we're reaching in about, let's see, what is it? About almost 50 minutes now I've been on here doing this live stream. I try to keep it under an hour if I can. If there's any other questions before I, cut out for the night, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here for as long as the questions keep pumping. I'll stay for 2 hours if you have any more questions or you want to ask me. I'll answer anything you got. If I don't know the answer, I've got sources I can look it up, and I can show you too because I got my browser here. I can let you check me out if you want to. So, but yeah, I'm hoping this is going to help a lot of people understand more about bed bugs with this live stream. I'm planning on doing every Friday night. It's let me see if I've got this. Let me open this up. And let's add a window capture. I use OBS. There it is. That's going to be, I've seen Paint, but that's going to be my, the show. I'm trying to send a website to you, but it won't let me. Let me see. Yeah, that's going to be my show, though. That's what I'm going to do every Friday night now. Let me see this website. It won't let me read it either. Yeah, I don't let websites post. I thought there was a way that I could see it because this isn't a Google Hangouts. I can't actually see the website because YouTube blocks all of that. Because otherwise, if I didn't block it, then you'd have bots coming in here and spamming all kinds of websites in my chat. So it actually will not allow me to get that. If you want to send it to me, you're welcome to use my email, which is, I'll give you my Hotmail account. I know this is a little more. Let me see. Actually, I'll give you that one. That's my email. It's jasonakers@greenacrespc.com. And if you want, you can email me any pictures if you have any. If you want me to identify anything, I have people that send me pictures all the time. If you have any, like I said, pictures, websites, anything like that you want me to look at, you can send it there, and I'll get it. What was the actual website? You can type it out and just don't put the periods, put spaces and stuff, and then I could probably just copy and paste and do backspaces if you want me to do that, if that'd be easier for you, so that it doesn't trigger and actually kick it as a website. If it's gonna kick it in as a website, you could maybe do without the www or something like that, and then maybe I could go in and actually fix it myself. I don't know how sophisticated the YouTube bots are that actually kick that back as spam. So I don't think there's really much else anything to say about bed bugs or anything tonight, unless there's any questions. I'm gonna I'll give you a couple minutes there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut out for the evening. We're coming at about 40, 50, 54, 55 minutes here, and like I said, I try to keep my videos under an hour because for people that come back through and watch it, I don't want them to have to sit through a whole hour of me running on at the mouth, blabbing. Oh yeah, you could train dogs. Oh, bedbugs.org. Let's see. Let's check that out. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, and they got that little fly. I had one of those on my website before. So what did you want to ask me about this website? Is this just a site for information? Yeah, I've found this website before. See, now this is one thing that I don't do, where they're saying if you go down it actually let me go ahead and share this capture. I think it is, which is this? Is it that one? There we go. All right, bedbugs.org. Right here, when it says right there. When removing sheets, always carefully roll them off instead of pulling or yanking them off. Pulling causes the removal of any eggs and bedbug eggs attached to them. That's true. Vacuum up any visible bedbug and eggs. Always put clean, white, and light colored sheets on the bed. Light colors make bedbugs easier to detect. Okay, so the vacuuming. The reason I don't vacuum is because you will infest your vacuum with bedbugs. Now, I don't vacuum because I'm a pest control technician. And if I have to go from one place to another, I don't want to take bedbugs with me in a vacuum. So that's one reason I don't vacuum up bedbugs. Yeah, I agree with you, Westwood. Bedbugs. I went to Florida. I just did a trip to Florida, and it was my family and my wife's two sisters and their families. And of this, there was 6 different hotels we stayed at, and all 6 of them had bedbugs. 3 of them had active infestations, and 3 of them had had prior infestations, but they had taken care of the problem. And that's 100%. This is from, just cheap hotels to really nice places. In fact, my sister stayed at a resort in Panama City, and it was infested. My mother and grandmother-in-law actually had over 70 bites on her back from bed bugs. So yes, hotels are a problem. If you're gonna spend a lot of money, and I'll get to you too in a minute on that on the bedbugs.org, but I wanted to answer this question real quick. There are, like I said, bedbug dogs can clear hotel rooms. So if you are suspicious that the hotel you're staying in might have bed bugs, you can hire a bed bug dog. You can tell the hotel that you want to make sure the room is clear before you get it. And you can have hotels are getting more lenient because people are winning multi-million-dollar lawsuits against hotels over bed bugs. So you can hire, like, my sister-in-law is going to stay in, she wants to go to Hawaii next year, and she's really concerned that they're going to have bed bugs, and she doesn't want to spend thousands of dollars to go to Hawaii and then bring bed bugs home with her. And so I had suggested that she could have a bed bug dog go in, which they do in Hawaii. There are people that do this, that will go to hotels and clear the room for you so then you can go in behind and you don't have to worry about sleeping with bed bugs. And it's not very expensive. It's like $150, $200. And when you're spending thousands of dollars to go on a vacation, it's really worth it. It's just a little bit more, and you could, rest easy that you're not going to have bed bugs when you go home. And so you can have them clear, your room with a dog. But yeah, that's right. You can. It doesn't matter whether it's a nice place, a filthy place. Um, you can get bed bugs anywhere. Anywhere, absolutely anywhere. You can get bed bugs at the library. Here in Lynchburg, Virginia, the Lynchburg Public Library was actually closed for a week because of a bedbug infestation. When you think about it, it makes good sense because kids take books, they take them home. They might even sleep with the book in the bed, and then the book gets bedbugs. They take the book back and they put it on the shelf in the library, and it's got bedbugs in it. So everywhere is getting infested with bedbugs. it's really bad. But what you got to do is you got to make sure you got to call the hotel first, and you got to tell the hotel you're concerned, and this is something you want to do, and then call and you can line it up. It's a little more hoops to have to jump through, but it's when you're considering thousands of dollars when you get home to kill bed bugs, it saves you a lot of money, really. In the long run, it's worth it to do that. So let's see, what is this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lindsay. Oh. Yeah. Keep your mattresses. Why? Because that's where you sleep. They'll be attracted to it. So essentially you'll be baiting them out. That's right. That's right. Turn up your water heater. Yeah. When you wash your clothes, that's right. Yeah, she's given really good advice. Really good advice. Now I would not do this right here. Let me scroll that up so y'all can read that. Pull off your baseboards. Okay. And check under the carpet. All right. If you're spraying, you don't have to do that because that's going to, the bed bugs are going to come out. They're going to die. Like she said, baiting them into the bed. If you treat around the cracks and crevices and stuff, you don't have to worry about that. That's not going to happen. The final thing I will add is, yeah, that's kind of like I said, this is extreme. I would never ever do this. That's not something that I would advise doing. There's no reason to do that. That's kind of crazy. But all this stuff up here, this is all right. You want to keep your mattress. Keep your mattress. Don't throw out your unless it's nasty. I have turned over mattresses that were infested with bed bugs and found bed bug poop all over them. I'd rather throw it away. I mean, you might steam clean it and get it clean, but they can get really nasty. They can get really nasty. And in that case, you'd better off just buying a new bed. Personally, not that you can't kill the bed bugs, but then you still got bed bug poop all over your mattress. So, but I'm germaphobe, so that's just how I am. Uh, okay, this I've been bed bug free for over a year, so I know that the freeze stick works. What is a freeze stick? All right, this is one thing about freezing bed bugs. You have to get a bed bug below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Some freezers will get that cold, most do not, and they have to stay that temperature for 4 days to die. You can kill them with 0 degrees, but they have to sit in it for 4 days. So keep that in mind when it comes to freezing. You can freeze them with like liquid nitrogen and things. They do use freeze treatments for bed bugs, but that's only going to kill when it comes in contact. It's not going to kill anything the freeze treatment doesn't come in contact with. So that's one thing. But she gives a lot of really good advice. I actually would recommend reading this for anybody that wants to read this. It's bedbugs.org. Now I can copy that in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's a good website. If you want to go there, you can read people's, take it with a grain of salt because some people give really crappy advice when it comes to bed bugs. I had a guy on one of my videos the other day. He said that you could just use a heat gun that you buy at Lowe's to kill bed bugs. That will probably kill bed bugs, but that's bad advice. That's not going to solve your problem. It's not. And I mean, people that do heat treatments, that do them right, they come in with they use fans, they use propane heaters, they're heating large areas, and you're not going to get that with a heat gun. You're just not. And that's just going to prolong your problem. And you're just wasting your time, effort, and money. And even though it's just $25, you can give me $25 if you're just going to throw it away, because that's what you're doing. Unless you're trying to take, a heat shrink wrap or something like that off your car, yeah, then you might want a heat gun. But when it comes to bed bugs, that's ridiculous. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. So But like I said, the guys that do heat treatments, and this is one other thing too about a heat treatment is a lot of people, when I first made that heat treatment video, over a year ago, back in August of 2016, if you're, this video is going up tonight, but it's going to be 2018 in just a couple days. In 2016, in August, I put up a video about heat treatments and why they're not effective on bed bugs. Since then, a lot of exterminators have started with their heat treatment, doing a chemical application along with the dusting the wall voids. And in my opinion, if you're going to do a chemical application and dust the wall voids, you've already admitted to yourself that the heat treatment is not going to kill all the bed bugs. Just do the chemical treatment. Buy some Crossfire, something good, and just use a chemical. That's great. That works really good. That's what I'd advise. And just don't do the heat treatment. You're just costing somebody thousands of dollars that they don't need to spend. So, how should you pack when you travel via planes, buses, and hotel rooms? All right. Now, this is something I'm actually planning for 2018. We're going to do a trip and we're going to travel. And we do a big major trip, my family and I, every other year. We will travel. Last year, we traveled to Maine and we went all over all of New England, visited all of New England states, and we camped. We're big campers. I love to camp. This time, we're going to stay in hotel rooms. And I'm going to stay in cheap hotels, nice hotels, mid-range hotels, all the way to Michigan. And not Michigan, I'm sorry, Minnesota, where my sister-in-law lives. My sister-in-law lives in Minnesota. My other sister-in-law lives in Wisconsin. So we're going to travel up north and stay in all kinds of hotels. And I'm going to show you how to pack. The thing about packing is you can treat your luggage with Crossfire because you're allowed to treat anywhere bed bugs may live. And so you can treat your luggage. You can Ziploc I know this sounds really crazy, but you can Ziploc your clothing in bags so that you know that your clothes are sealed. Pack light. How many pairs of underwear do you need? Personally, I only wear one pair at a time, So you can wash your clothes. You go to the laundromat, you go somewhere and wash your clothes. Pack light. Don't pack the whole house. If you're just going for a trip for a few days, don't pack as light as you can. And that way you can seal the stuff in a bag. And then you know if the bugs have gotten in or not, because you can see them in the Ziploc bag. If they get on your clothes and you're taking your clothes and you're putting them in the baggies, you can see them when they come out of your clothes and they'll crawl in the bag. That's a way that you can prevent bringing bed bugs home. There's always a chance that you're going to bring them home. So you need to make sure that you check your beds really well. I've got several videos on my channel that will show you how to check a bed, how to check a mattress. A lot of times in a hotel, the mattresses are actually bolted to the bed frame. So you have to crawl under the bed and actually look up under the bed. And if you know what to look for, and like I said, I'm going to go over this in just a few months when I go on this trip. If you know what to look for, the little pepper flakes, you can see them through the mesh of the box spring. If they're in that mesh, there's you can actually see them through it. You can see where they live around the staples that hold that mesh on, if they're in the bed or if they've ever been on the bed. If you find something like that, just keep looking. You'll probably find a live bed bug. They like to hide in the folds around the cloth, like when the cloth's pulled down around the corner of the box spring and then it's stapled underneath. It's all pleats there, and inside those pleats, the bed bugs like to squeeze in those little cracks, so you can find them. In fact, that's where I found them. When I go into hotels, that's where I have found them, is in those little pleats, typically up near the headboard. They like to bite your forearms. They like to bite, they can bite your legs, but typically in a hotel room, they don't really have footboard. If it's a hotel room with a footboard, check around the footboard. But typically they live up around the headboard and that part of the box spring. I would check there first And if you don't find anything, then move down towards the foot of the bed. But always check up around the headboard and around the head of your box spring first. That's going to be the first place that you're going to find them typically. They don't always live there, but most of the time they do. You can find them on nightstand tables, but typically only if they're like practically touching the bed or if they're just really close. And usually if they're living in the nightstand, it's because it's a really bad problem. And I advise that when you go to a hotel, don't take anything in the room. Go in the room and inspect the room and check the room and make sure that the room either does or does not have bed bugs. So you need to do that. And don't accept the room. You know, go down and tell the people, look, this room has bed bugs. I demand another room. And when they say, well, can you show me? Go show them. Show them the proof. Take a picture. Use your phone. You know, everybody's got phone pictures now. You know, you could just pull your phone out and take a picture. So you can do that. Show it. Show it to them. Like I said, people are winning multi-million-dollar lawsuits over bed bugs because hotels are mistreating their customers. And so just keep that in mind. You're the one that pays the bill. You're the boss. Be the boss because that's what you are. You're paying them. They're providing you a service and you're not buying bed bugs, you know, so don't take them home with you. Don't feel threatened, don't feel pressured, don't feel pushed by the hotel where they'll try to make you think that you have to be, you know, that you have to pay them because you don't. You can absolutely get your money back and go to a different hotel. It's better, even if it's late at night. I know a lot of people will get into hotels really late at night. Um, I've done this before where I've arrived at like 9 o'clock and I just don't feel like going anywhere else. But I still check and I still make sure, and I am more than willing to just get back in the car and take my family and go somewhere else because that's your right. If they're not gonna, you know, give you another room, you demand your money back and leave. That's what you need to do. But most of the time, if they realize you're actually going to take your money back, they'll give you another room. Where they had no vacancy, all of a sudden, a room is empty and they can put you up in another room. So, because it's in their best interest to make money. That's what they're in business for. They're not in business to, you know, not rent rooms. It's in their best interest to have every single room full. So, if that helped you, I hope it did. But that's what I always advise people to do. Demand, be the boss, because that's what you are. So, look at me. If I do like this, boy. Oh, Chipotle. Boy, you can see right through that with that green screen. That's crazy. I really need to I think I need to fix my, yeah. Anyway. Should you wear a spacesuit? No. No, I don't ever wear a suit. Oh man, the last bedbug job I did, I had bedbug poop all over my pants. It was smeared all over me from lifting up the mattress. I didn't take anything home with me. There, the thing about bedbugs, a lot of people think when you pick stuff up, they're going to run all over you. That's rare. It happens, but it's rare. Um, they're going to hide from you. They're scared of people, and typically a bedbug infestation, you're only going to come into a contact with just a few, and you probably won't even touch them. That's the thing. So I wouldn't worry. I don't wear Tyvek when I go in and do a bedbug job. You know, I don't look like a spaceman coming in and, you know, when I do a job, I wear my uniform, which is khaki pants and a long sleeve shirt. And I do wear gloves, even though I don't have to when using Crossfire. The label doesn't require. I always wear gloves when I deal with bed bugs, and mainly because you're putting your hand on, you're messing with other people's beds, and the fluids that come out of people, you want to wear gloves when you're messing with someone's bed. And so, and that's another reason too of people. It just hit me that that might be another reason why, um, you know, exterminators aren't doing a lot of heavy lifting and treating beds because they have to mess with something someone else has laid on and bodily fluids and things like that. So that could be another issue. But I always wear gloves. I always wear, you know, long sleeve shirt, long pants. And you can see bed bugs. You can see the eggs if you really know what to look for. There's plenty of pictures on Google that you can, in fact, we could just do it right here. Actually, I'll show you my Instagram. Oh, shoot. I think I can pull it up like this. Let me see. Oh, yeah, there we go. There I am. Look at me. See, I'm not just an attractive man. I see. Click this one. See there? Now, this is an actual picture I took of bed bugs on a bed bag. This is a bed bug egg right here. That's what they look like. And you can see that. You know, that's visible. This is not magnified at all. I mean, it's right up close. I had the camera like right there. And so that's what bed bugs look like. And y'all can follow me on my Instagram too, by the way. It's Jason Alicia Akers. That's me and my wife. And that's my Instagram. I post pictures every now and then. And this is actually, show you here. Let me close this. This is a picture I took just the other day. Now that I actually took over the weekend in Falls Church. That is a dead bed bug that was kept in a freezer. It's not full grown, which I'm pretty sure that's probably why it died, because it went a long time without a blood meal. But that is actually what probably second instar, third instar about. That's what one looks like. So that's give you an idea of the size. That's not a full grown bed bug now, but that's one that I took a picture of just over the weekend. So yeah, I get a lot of bed bugs. Here's a bed bug one here too. See, and these are eggs and casings mixed in. See, there's the egg right there, and those are casings from, because they shed their skin. That's what an instar is. It's when they shed their skin. And then I've got other things here too. I took this picture at a hotel, not a hotel. I'm sorry, a restaurant, and I asked people, can you see what's wrong in this bathroom floor? That's a mouse dropping. That's a mouse dropping right there. And there's some dirt and stuff, but that's a mouse dropping. So the bathroom had mice. Pretty bad, actually. So I took that in a restaurant. Nevertheless, I left. Didn't really eat there. But there's a picture of a spider I got, and just different things I find. There's a black widow I found. So if you're interested, you can follow me on Instagram. I post pictures every now and then. Not very often. I do a lot more on Twitter and YouTube. If you want to catch me on social media, I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time. That's where I live. So all my friends and everybody's on Facebook, so that's what I use a lot of. But yeah, right here, this is the bed bugs. These are ones that haven't actually fed for a while. They've been actually digesting the blood. These are ones that have fed pretty recently, so which is why they're so red. They're so full of blood. And these ones here have actually digested the blood, and they're so yeah, mice are bad. You're right. You're right. But yeah, so but yeah, so if you're ever interested in any cool pictures that I take, if you like that kind of thing, a lot of people do, you can follow me over on Instagram and check me out there. But I am going to, my throat is about had it. I used to be able to talk, but the older I get, the more strained my voice gets, and I can't do it like I used to. So in just a year and a half or so since I've been on Facebook, I've noticed since I started doing a lot of streaming and stuff like that, I just can't handle it like I used to be able to. So I'm gonna head on out of here. It's about almost midnight. I'm gonna head on to bed. So I said, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you really like it, think about subscribing to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, because it'll let you know when I'm live, when I'm doing these streams. Like I said, it's going to be a bedbug show every Friday night. As good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to be here every Friday night. Usually, typically, I'm Eastern time because I'm in Virginia. Between 9 and 11 o'clock, somewhere around there, I should hit live. I'm going to try as early as I can, because I don't want to, people be up all night waiting for me. But, I'm going to try my best to be here as early as possible. I've got kids. My daughter, she's 4, and some nights she doesn't sleep. And, if she doesn't sleep, I don't get a chance to get on here. Now, I might do one with her sitting on my lap. I was thinking about doing a live stream on New Year's Eve, but we'll see how that works out, because I haven't got my bed bugs yet. I have gotten 1,000 subs. I owe you. I'm going to let them bite me, and you're going to get to watch if you want to. So You guys have a really great night. I appreciate everybody coming out for the show. Like I said, don't hesitate to leave me any questions in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as I can, and hopefully by next week I'll be back on my regular schedule, doing my shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then my live streams Friday night. So you guys have a really great evening, and I appreciate it.